Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another live streaming of tax training. And our topics for tonight are number one, the difference between 2306 and 2307. Kasi nakita ko pa rin, ang dami pa rin nako-confused, no? And we have the difference between final withholding tax and also the creditable withholding tax, no? Shout out, Hari.
Apo, good evening po sa mga viewers. Shoutout po kay Ma'am Jonaline Bonlang. Apo, tas good evening daw po ma'am, sabi ni Josel Ramos. Pati po kay Criselda Quiachon. Maayong gabi daw po.
Okay.
Good evening din daw po ma'am, sabi ni Juliana Viloria.
Okay.
Pati po kay Ma'am Rosalina Tune. Maayong gabi daw po. Good evening to all din daw po, sabi ni Ma'am Lilia Fernando.
Thank you. Thank you sa siomay, Miss Lilia.
Apo, shoutout din po kay Wanang Masikap. Good evening daw po. Good evening din daw po ma'am, sabi ni Julian Principe. Sila pa lang po ma'am yung nagko-comment.
Okay. So, good evening po sa lahat ng viewers, no? And sa mga taga Negros, taga Cebu, no? Mayong gabi ka ninyong tanan. Sa mga taga Iloilo, maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. Sa mga Kapampangan, mahip na bengi kay Kungan, at sa lahat-lahat po, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, no? Here we are again in our live streaming, and thank you very much sa 20,600 subscribers na po tayo dito sa ating tax training, no? So thank you very much. Yun yung sinasabi ko na sa YouTube, para lang din tayo nagtatanim, no? And we will watch it as it grows, no? Kasi parang tanim din niya na araw-araw titingnan mo may na-add or may nadadagdag na dahon, no? Saka namumunga, no? Sa YouTube parang ganoon din, no? Sa bagay may analogy naman talaga lahat ng buhay, no? Okay. So let's now proceed with our discussion. Ano itong difference between 2306 and 2307? So pakita mo sa kanila, Hari. No? Kasi may mga nagtatanong sa atin na, ma'am, nakatanggap kami ng 2306, para saan ba to? No? So para hindi kayo malito or hindi kayo ma-confuse, tingnan nyo kaagad anong instruction dyan sa form na yan. No? So for this BIR form number 2306, enhanced siya noong January 2018, anong nakalagay dyan sa kanya? Certificate of Final Tax Withheld at Source. No? At makita nyo, final tax siya. As against the 2307, ano nakalagay sa kanya? Certificate of Creditable Tax Withheld at Source. So, ang pagkakaiba nila, yung isa, final tax, yung isa, creditable. No? So, diyan natin makikita ang pagkakaiba at saka sa treatment. No? Kung pag sinabi mo final tax, withheld at source, final na, wala ka nang idadagdag, wala ka nang ibabawas. Pero pag sinabi mo na creditable pa lang siya, pag creditable, advance payment lang yan ng tax mo, kailangan mag-compute ka pa ng actual and then ibawas mo itong laman ng certificate of creditable tax mo. Ang ibig sabihin ng creditable tax, ibawas mo. No? Sa final, wala ka nang gagawin kasi fully paid na yung tax mo dyan kasi nga final na. So wala nang dagdag, wala nang bawas, wala nang computation dyan. Bakit? Sa final tax, ang nag-compute ng tax mo dyan is the withholding agent. No? Yan yung pagkakaiba na naalala ko when there was a time na nagkaroon ng special task force ang BIR sa mga artista, no? Na part of the campaign, yung maraming mga artista na hindi nag-declare ng kanilang income, no? Hindi lahat ng income nila dinideclare sa income tax, no? At anong sabi ng mga artista? May withholding na kami, no? Remember that your withholding is creditable, 2307. Ang withholding sa professional fees po ng mga artista is 2307, hindi 2306, no? So, kung yung withholding mo is 2306, pwede yon. Sabihin mo na, may withholding na kami. So, yun na yun, nagbayad na kami ng tax. Okay yon sa final. Pero pag ang withholding mo creditable, hindi pa yun sapat. Why? Kasi, yung professional fees ng mga artista, creditable lang ang withholding dyan. So, anong ibig sabihin? You have to compute your quarterly income tax and also compute your annual income tax. Ibawas mo lang dyan yung certificate of withholding tax withheld at source mo na creditable, yung 2307 mo. No? Kasi hindi pwede na 2306 ang ibabawas sa professional fees. Why? Kasi yung professional fees, hindi mo pa ma-compute magkano talaga yung tax na babayaran ng isang professional. Kasi ang income dyan is graduated, no? Ang tax rate. At saka allowed pa siya to claim deductions. No? Kaya dapat pa talaga siya mag-file ng income tax return, declare the gross income, and then claim deductions, and then doon ka pa mag-compute sa net taxable income mo. You apply the tax rates, and then sa tax due mo, whatever is the tax due, you deduct the creditable income tax. Kung sobra yan, so refundable ka, pero kung kulang, magbabayad ka pa. No? Samantalang sa final, wala ka nang gagawin. Why? Lahat ng tax na dapat bayaran doon sa income na yan, na-withhold na ng withholding agent. Kaya nga, ano na siya, final na. No? So, ano yung mga, ito siguro kayo pabalik-balik, no? Hindi natin natatakel. So, ano yung mga income na subject to final tax, no? Saan po yan makikita? Dito sa likod ng 2306, no? Certificate of Final Tax Withheld at Source. Dati, yung VAT on sale to government is 2306, final tax. Ngayon, starting 2021, ginawa na siyang 2307, so creditable. So, ano ibig sabihin? Yung sale to government, magko-compute ka na ng monthly at saka quarterly VAT, and the 2307 withholding tax withheld by the government agencies, i-deduct mo na lang doon sa VAT payable mo. No? So, we will discuss ano-ano ba yung mga subject to withholding tax. No? So these are the schedules of the at saka alphanumeric tax code, no, ng activities subject to final tax. So we have sa income tax is the friends benefits, no? Ano ba yung friends benefits? The friends benefits tax, ito yung i-gross up mo yung monetary amount ng friends benefits when you compute, and then i-multiply mo sa rate, no? Whatever the rate na kagaya ngayon 35% yung maximum rate. Ito yung friends benefits na binigay ng employer to its supervisory and managerial employees na additional benefits dun sa kanyang compensation. So this is subject to final tax, and the final tax should be paid by the employer. No? So in general, for citizen, resident alien, and non-resident alien engaged in trade or business within the Philippines, ito yung alphanumeric tax code niya. Sorry pala, wala siyang nakalagay dito na tax rate, no? So, nature of income lang nakalagay. Kasi sa ibang form, nakalagay pa kung magkano yung rate, no? So, i-compute mo yung friends benefits tax, i-gross up mo yung friends benefits, and then multiply mo by the maximum rates. Yan ang babayaran mo sa friends benefits tax. And also, it is subject to non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business within the Philippines. No? So, interest, subject also to final tax. Interest yield from bank deposits, deposit substitutes, government securities. No? So, we have savings deposits, we have time deposits, we have government securities, deposit substitutes, and others. We have the pre-terminated long-term deposits or investment, yun yung mga naka-time deposit, no? And then, meron siyang less than 3 years 3 years to less than 4 years, 4 years to less than 5 years. Magkakaiba ang alphanumeric tax code niya at saka magkakaiba din ang tax rates. And then we have the foreign currency deposits at saka on amount withdrawn from decedent's deposits account, which is 6% na ngayon, no? Yan yung bagong withholding sa estate tax. And then we have interest yield from bank deposits, deposit substitutes, and government securities. No? So ito yung interest. Interest on foreign loans payable to non-resident foreign corporations. Interest and other income payments on foreign currency transactions, loans payable to offshore banking units or OBUs. Interest and other income payment on foreign currency transactions, loans payable to foreign currency. Cash dividend payment by domestic corporation to citizens and resident aliens, no? So subject din po siya sa final tax, yung cash dividend payment ng domestic corporation to its citizen. Kasi yung cash dividend payment to by a domestic corporation to another corporation is exempt. Property dividend payment by domestic corporation to citizen and resident alien also subject to final tax. Property cash dividend payment by domestic corporation to non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, no? Subject also to final tax. Property dividend payment by domestic corporation to non-resident alien engaged in trade or business. And then share of non-resident alien engaged in trade or business in the distributable net income after tax of a partnership, except yung professional partnership. No? On other payment to non-resident foreign corporations, no? Subject also to final tax. Distributive share of individual partners in a taxable partnership, association, joint account, kasi treated din siya na parang dividend, so subject to final tax also. All kinds of royalty payments to citizens, resident aliens, and non-resident alien engaged in trade or business other than itong WI, yung sa individual, 380 and WI 341, no? Domestic and resident foreign corporations. So lahat ng royalty payments, ano po yung royalty payments? These are payments for intangible properties, no? So yung royalty payments are passive income, no? Usually subject to 20% siya na final tax on withholding. On prices exceeding 10,000 and other winnings paid to individuals. So itong prices exceeding 10,000. Why? Kasi yung 10,000 included siya sa compensation. Branch profit remittances by all corporation except PESA, SBMA, CDA registered. Why? Kasi itong PESA, preferential tax rate ang binabayaran niya na 5%. So, iba yung branch profit remittance niya. So, on the gross rental, lease, and charter fees derived by non-resident owner or lessor of foreign vessels, subject also to final tax. Gross rentals, charters, and other fees derived by non-resident lessor or aircraft, machineries, and equipment. No? So, yung rental, subject also to final withholding tax. Rental ng aircraft, no? On payment to all oil exploration service contractors or subcontractors, no? So itong mga contractors and subcontractors ng oil exploration, subject also to final tax. Payments to non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business with the Philippines, except on sale of shares in domestic corporations and real property. Okay. On payments to non-resident individual, foreign corporate cinematographic film owners, lessors, or distributors. So, pati yung sa cinematographic film owners, no, lessors and distributors, subject na rin sa final tax. Royalties paid to non-resident alien engaged in trade or business on cinematographic film and similar works. So, ito yung mga binabayad sa mga producers. Final tax on interest or other payments upon tax-free covenant bonds, mortgages, deeds of trust, or other obligation under the Section 57C of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997. Ano yung Section 57C? 57 ng tax code, yan yung withholding taxes, no? About withholding taxes. Royalties paid to citizens, resident aliens, and non-resident alien engaged in trade or business on books, other literary works, and musical compositions. Usually, ang royalty payments ito is 10% ng final tax, no? Withholding. Income payment on capital gains tax to the sales, exchange, or other disposition of land and building, no? Corporate. So, magkano to? Ito yung may 1%, 3%, 5%, no? Withholding. Cash or property dividend paid by a real estate investment trust. For the business tax, ano yung mga wini-withhold na final tax? Dati, ito yung VAT withholding on purchase of goods, withholding on purchase of services, pero ngayon, subject na siya sa creditable, yung sa government. Pero yung mga withholding tax on purchases of goods, services, no? Hindi ito wini-withhold ng mga private, only government agencies ang nagwi-withhold dito. VAT withholding on purchase of goods with waiver of privilege to claim input tax, no? VAT withholding on purchases of services with waiver of privilege to claim input tax credit. Person exempt from VAT under Section 109B, Section 16 applies. Tax on winnings and prices, no? Ano din siya, final withholding tax. Government withholding agent, 4%, no? Tax on winnings and prices on horse races, owners winning of race horses, withholding agent, government, 10%, no? Tax on winnings and prices ng double forecast, private withholding agent, ang withholding tax is 4%. Tax on winnings and prices on horse races, private withholding agent, 10%. VAT withholding from non-resident, government withholding agent. No? Ngayon, ano na to? Creditable na. VAT withholding from non-resident, private withholding agent. No? So, ito yung mga activities or nature ng income na subject to final tax. And when we say final, hindi na natin kailangan mag-file ng income tax return, hindi na natin kailangan mag-compute because the tax due on that transactions are already fully withheld by the withholding agent. No? Shout out, Hari.
Ma'am, shout out po kay Amazing LV. Si
Okay.
Ma'am LV Galanido pala siya, ma'am.
Okay.
Apo.
From
Amazing
Bohol.
LV kasi yung ano niya eh.
From Bohol, yes.
From Bohol siya, ma'am. Pati po kay God's Love TV. Shout out po. Good evening daw po. Pati po kay Ma'am Lilian Yao. Good evening daw po sa lahat.
Good evening, Ma'am Lilian. Okay.
And shout out din po kay Ma'am Ami Oclarit. Good evening daw po.
Yes.
And sabi po ni Ma'am Lilia, thank you din daw po.
Okay.
Tapos, si Training. Good evening daw po, ma'am. Shoutout din po kay Ma'am Rodora Constantino.
Okay.
Good evening daw po, ma'am, from Lucena City.
Wow.
Pati po kay Ma'am Rosalina Tune.
Okay.
Opo, shoutout po. Shoutout din po kay Janae. Good evening daw po sa lahat.
Okay.
And good evening din daw po, ma'am, sabi ni John Paulo Salto.
Okay.
Sila pa lang po, ma'am.
Okay. So, may question na ba?
Wala pa pong question.
Sige. So, tuloy lang po tayo kasi dito na tayo sa 2307. So, what are the transactions na creditable dapat yung i-withhold mo and no longer final? Pag sinabi natin creditable, anong ibig sabihin? Mag-file kayo ng income tax nyo, isama nyo yung income na yan, and you compute the tax due, you deduct the amount found in your 2307. So, ito na yung 2307. Kanina 2306 yun. No? So what are the transactions or the income payments subject to expanded withholding tax, yung sinasabi natin na creditable. No? So, nasa likod po ng form ng 2307, the alphanumeric tax code for the individual and corporations. Dati may rate pa ito no? Kung magkano. Okay. So we have here the professional, no? So yung professional is creditable withholding tax, hindi po yun final. So magkano yung gross income niya on the current year does not exceed 3 million. So yan yung kanyang alphanumeric tax code, no? W010. If gross income is more than 3 million or VAT registered, no, regardless of amount, then W011. Yan, alphanumeric tax code also. Professional lawyers, CPAs, engineers, if gross income for the current year does not exceed 720,000, ito yung withholding mo is 5%, no? And kung yung gross income naman exceed 720,000, the withholding tax rate is 10,000 for individual. Professional entertainers, such as but not limited to actors and actresses, singers, lyricists, composers, MCs, no? So yung gross income for the current year did not exceed 3 million. Bakit palagi sinasabi does not exceed 3 million? Kasi ibig sabihin ng does not exceed 3 million, hindi siya vatable. Or pwede namang nag-VAT siya, optional, no? Kasi ang dami mong magkakaiba ang treatment kaagad pagka 3 million, no? Kasi sa below 3 million, does not exceed 3 million, hindi pa kailangan yung CPA certificate, no? Sa 3 million and above, kailangan na yung above 3 million, kailangan na yung CPA certificate or audit certificate ng ITR, ng income tax return. Okay. Abot mo yung aking salamin, Charles, andyan sa likod. Sobrang liit. Kung makita. Oh, mahina na yung mata. Hindi, yung isa, andyan sa, malapit sa, sobrang liit. Yan, thank you. Sakit sa mata na. No? Ay, masakit pa rin sa mata kahit may salamin. Okay. So, we have professional athletes, no, including basketball players, pelotaris, and jockeys. Kikita pa nila, Harry, sa screen? Okay. Sige. If the gross income for the current year did not exceed 3 million, and kung nag-exceed na ng 3 million or VAT registered taxpayers, no? Professional athletes, including basketball player, yung gross income nila did not exceed 720,000 and the gross income exceeds 720,000. All directors and producers, no, involved in movie stages, radio, television, and musical production, the income are also subject to creditable withholding tax. All directors and producers involved in movies, stage, radio, television, and musical productions, no? So, subject din po sa creditable withholding tax. Pag the income is 720,000 and below, subject po siya sa 5% na withholding. And if in excess of 720,000, 10%, no? Pagka ang earner is individual. Management and technical consultants, no? Does not exceed 3 million and pag VAT registered regardless of amount. Management and technical consultants na yung income is 720,000, pagka individual, the rate of withholding is 5%, pagka corporation, 10%. No? In exceeding 720,000, Rate for individual is 10% and for corporation is 15% ang withholding. No? Business and bookkeeping agents and agencies. So ngayon, nandyan na talaga ang bookkeeping ha. So yung mga bookkeepers natin, kahit nasabihin nyo, hindi kayo CPAs, yung income ninyo, or retainers, professional fees, coming from your clients are also subject to withholding tax, no? And ganun din ang threshold, yung 3 million, no? 720,000 and over 720,000. Insurance agents and insurance adjusters, no, subject also to creditable withholding. Insurance agents and insurance adjusters, ang rate ng withholding nila same din ang professionals, no. Other recipient of talent fees. Other recipient of talent fees, no. So pare-pareho lang yung threshold ng 720,000. Fees of directors who are not employee of the company. Okay? Kasi pagka ang directors employee ng company, consider yung kanyang talent fee or yung kanyang professional fees or director fees part of compensation. Pero kung hindi, creditable po siya, withholding, expanded withholding tax. Rentals, on gross rental of hindi ko na ito mabasa. Basahin mo, Hari.
Rentals on gross rental or lease for the continued use or possession of personal property in excess of 10,000 pesos annually and real property used in business which the payer of or obligor has not taken title or is not taking title or in which has no equity, poles, satellites, transmission, facilities, and billboards.
Okay. So, dati ito, ang rate nito is 5%, no? So, dati nakalagay ito yung mga rates dito, ngayon hindi na. Okay. Next.
Apo.
Sige.
Next, cinematographic film rentals and other payments to resident individuals and corporate cinematographic film owners, lessors, or distributors.
So, creditable din yan. Kanina, yung mga sa corporations yun, no? Yun yung mga final. No? So, tingnan ninyo, maigi kung final ba siya o creditable. Kasi may mga transactions dito na parang same lang sila pero creditable pala. No? Sige,
Apo.
next.
Next po, income payments to certain contractors.
Next.
Apo. And then, income distribution to the beneficiaries of estates and trusts.
No, so remember, ano sila ha? Creditable ha, hindi final. Okay.
Next, ma'am, gross commissions or service fees of customs, insurance, stock, immigration, and commercial brokers, fees of agents of professional entertainers, and real estate service practitioners, RESPs.
Okay.
Real estate consultants, real estate appraisers, and real estate brokers. So, if gross income for the current year did not exceed 3 million pesos, and
Yes.
if gross income is more than 3 million or VAT registered regardless of amount.
Okay. So, yan yung mga rates po, no? Itong sinasabi natin na gross commission, commission to ng mga customs brokers, insurance brokers, no, stock brokers. So, subject po lahat yan sa creditable income tax. Hindi po yan final tax, ha? Kaya 2307 yung binibigay sa inyo. Sige, ikaw naman, Charles.
Professional fees paid to medical practitioner included doctors of medicine, doctors of veterinary science, and dentistry.
Yes.
By hospitality and clinic or paid directly by healthy maintenance organizations, HMOS, and or similar establishment. If gross income for the current year did not exceed 3 million, and if gross income is more than 3 million or VAT registered regardless of amount.
So ito yung mga professional fees na binabayad sa mga medical practitioners, mga doctors, no? So ano to? Doctors of medicine, doctors of veterinary science, no? At saka itong mga binabayad sa mga yung health plan, yung mga health maintenance, no? Yung magbabayad ka na ng monthly, tapos pag na-hospital ka, sila yung magbabayad ng bill mo, no? So, creditable din siya, creditable na withholding tax, hindi po siya final, no? And then, yung next natin is, ito yung tax on carriers and keepers of garage, no? Creditable din siya. Ito yung mga carriers, ito yung mga sasakyan, And then, franchise tax on gas and utilities, no? So, franchise tax on gas and utilities. Sinong nagbibigay nito ng franchise? The government, no? Ito yung mga franchise holders. Franchise tax on radio and television. Itong mga radio and TV broadcasting corporations or companies, holder yan sila ng franchise. No? Kaya anong nangyari dun sa ABS-CBN na yung pinag-usapan during the COVID, hindi na-extend yung kanilang franchise, kaya hindi na sila pinapa-air ng kanilang program. So, subject also to creditable withholding tax. No? And then the tax on life insurance premiums sa mga insurance companies yan. No? Tax on overseas dispatch message or convergence from the Philippines. Ano to? Conversation, no? From the Philippines. Ito yung 10% na overseas communication tax, percentage tax po ito. Pero ito, creditable. Hindi siya final. And then we have the tax on banks and non-banks financial intermediaries performing quasi-banking functions and interest na depending sa maturity. Kaya nandito yung maturity na 5 years, maturity period na more than 5 years, and then dividend, equity shares, no? So, depende to sa number of years. May iba-ibang rate, no? Subject also to creditable. Pero nakakapagtaka, no? Na creditable na siya kasi dati mga final tax itong may interest Money payments ito subject to business tax. Kasi by government payer only. Kaya nga pala, no? So akala ko ang naging creditable lang yung sale to government. Kasama din pala yung sale of VAT to government. Kasama din pala itong mga dispatch messages. Nagiging creditable na rin pala sila. No? Tingnan nyo, So, dapat na aware dito yung mga government agencies. Kaya pala ang daming nagtatanong doon sa creditable ng government agencies. Kasi yung ibang government agencies, continue pa rin sila nagbibigay ng 2306, which is final tax. Kaya ang mga seller naman or supplier ng government nagtataka. Why? Kasi pag binigyan mo ng 2306, final tax yan. Hindi mo siya pwedeng ibawas doon sa creditable. Creditable na ngayon ang withholding ang sale to government. No? So, yung sale to government na money payments, hindi lang pala VAT ang nagiging creditable. So, take note of that. Ako ngayon ko lang din to na discover. Ang akala ko VAT lang. No? So, kasama pala pati yung ibang klaseng taxes. Nagiging creditable na rin. Business tax on agents of foreign insurance companies. No? So, creditable na rin. Tax on international carriers. Business tax on agents of foreign insurance companies. Business tax on agents on foreign insurance companies. And tax on international carriers. So, be very careful yung mga engaged sa ganitong activities. Akala nyo final tax pa kayo, creditable na pala. Ganyan ang nangyari sa mga artista natin noon na nakasuhan kasi all the while ang akala nila final tax na withhold na sila. Hindi na sila kailangan magbayad ng income tax return nila, mag-file. Creditable. So pag creditable, you have to file your income tax and then credit the amount withheld. No? Okay. So ano pa itong mga iba na creditable sa government, no? Tax on other non-banks financial intermediaries. And then sa interest, no? Tax on cockpits, tax on amusement places, tax on boxing exhibitions, no? Creditable na lahat. Tax on professional basketball games, tax on high alay and racetracks, tax on sale, barters, or exchange of stocks, no? Listed and traded, tax on share of stocks sold or exchanged through initial and secondary public offering. Ito yung mga uh, IPO, no, naka-initial public offering sa public, no? Not over 25%, 4%, over 25%, not exceeding 33 and 1/3%, 2%, and over 33 and 1/3, 1%. But remember, mga creditable lahat ito, ha? So, balik tayo sa other not exceeding 33 and 1/3%, professional partnership. Sige, umpisa ka dyan, Hari. Marami pa to eh.
Ito ma'am, income payment subject to expanded withholding tax. Payment by the general professional partnership, GPPs, to its partners. If gross income for the current year did not exceed 720,000, and if gross income exceeds 720,000.
Mm.
Next po is income payments made by credit card companies.
Yes.
Additional income payments to government personnel from importers, shipping and airline companies or their agents for overtime services.
Yes.
Income payments made by the government and government-owned and controlled corporation, GOCCs, to its local or resident suppliers of goods other than those covered by
Yan.
other
So, creditable yan, ah. Okay.
rates of withholding tax.
Okay.
Income payments made by the GOCCs to its local or resident suppliers of services other than those covered by other rates of withholding tax. And income payment made by top withholding agents to their local or resident supplier of goods other than those covered by other rates of withholding tax.
Okay.
Tapos, income payment made by top withholding agents to their local or resident supplier of services other than those covered by other rates of withholding tax.
Sige.
Commissions, rebates, discounts, and other similar considerations paid or granted to independent and or exclusive sales representatives and marketing agents and sub-agents of companies, including multi-level
Yan.
marketing companies. So,
Okay.
if gross income for the current year did not exceed 3 million, and if gross income is more than 3 million, or VAT registered regardless of amount.
Okay. Next.
Next po is commission or rebates, discounts, and other similar considerations paid or granted to independent and or exclusive sales representatives and marketing agents and sub-agents of companies, including multi-level marketing companies. If gross income for the current year did not exceed 720,000.
Iba yung rate. Okay.
If gross income exceeds 720,000.
Okay. Ikaw naman, Charles. Ang liit eh. Sige.
Gross payments to embalmers by funeral parlors.
Yan, yung mga namamatay dyan, magbabayad ng embalmers, yun. So, subject po siya sa creditable withholding tax. Okay?
Payments made by pre-needs companies to funeral parlors.
Okay.
Tolling fees paid to refineries.
Okay.
Income payments made to suppliers of agricultural product in excess of cumulative amount of 300,000. within the same taxable year.
Yes. Bakit? Because yung withholding po ng agricultural, yung first 300 hindi po siya subject sa withholding. That's why in excess of 300,000. Sige, next.
Income payments on purchases of mineral product and quarry such as but not limited to silver, gold, marble, granite, gravel, sand, boulders, and other mineral product except purchases by Bangko Sentral
So,
ng
subject po
Pilipinas.
siya sa creditable withholding tax. Okay, next.
Income payment on purchases of mineral product and quarry resources by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, BSP, from gold miners, suppliers
Yan
under
na.
PD 1899
Yan.
as amended by RA number 7076.
So, yung mga nagbibenta ng gold, mga mineral products, subject din sa creditable withholding tax. Next.
And on gross amount of refund given by Meralco to customers with active contracts as classified by Meralco.
Okay.
On gross amount of refund given by Meralco to customers with terminated contract as classified by Meralco.
Okay.
On gross amount of interest on the refund of meter deposit whether paid directly to the customer or applied against customers' billings or residential and general services customers whose monthly electricity consumption exceed 200 kilowatts as classified by Meralco.
Okay.
On gross amount of interest on the refund of meter deposit whether paid directly to the customers or applied against customers' billings of non-residential customers whose
Yes.
monthly electricity consumption exceed 200 kilowatts per hour as classified by Meralco.
So, sa Meralco lahat ito na mga withholding. No? Ito yung mga nire-refund nila. Next.
On gross amount interest on the refund of meter deposit whether paid directly to the customer on applied against customers' billings of residential and general service customers whose monthly electricity consumption exceeds 200 kilowatts per hour as classified by another electric distribution utilities DU. And on gross amount interest on the refund meter deposit whether paid directly to the customer or applied against customers' billing of non-residential customers whose monthly electricity consumption exceeds 200 as classified by other electric distribution utility DU.
Sige, next. Ikaw naman, Hari.
Income payments made by political parties and candidates of local and national elections on all their purchases of goods and services
Yes.
related to campaign expenditures.
Yes.
And income payments made by individuals or juridical persons for their purchases of goods and services intended to be given as campaign contributions
Yes.
to political parties and candidates.
Yan, mag-election na naman. So, applicable na naman to. Next.
Income payments received by Real Estate Investment Trust or REIT. Interest income derived from any other debt instruments not within the coverage of deposit substitutes and revenue regulation number 14-2012. Income payments on locally produced raw sugar. And then sale of
So, yung locally produced na raw sugar, creditable din siya, 2307 din, okay?
next ma'am, sale of real property or ordinary asset. So,
Ito yung mga, instead na capital gains, yung babayaran mo, nagbenta ka ng lupa. So, ang nagbenta dito, aids in regular business na talaga nila, yung buy and lupa. Kaya, withholding siya na 1.5%, 3%, 5%, and 6% po yung next. Hari. Money payments.
next ma'am is money payments. Money payments subject to withholding of business tax by government or private payer, individual and corporate. So, persons exempt from VAT under Section 109 BB or creditable government withholding agent. And then, persons exempt from VAT under Section 109 BB, creditable private withholding agent.
Okay.
And then, VAT withholding on purchases of goods with waiver of privilege to claim input tax credit, creditable. VAT withholding on purchases of services with waiver of privilege to claim input tax credit, creditable.
Okay. So, kasi yung sa baba, na-discuss na natin yan eh. Yan yung mga withholding sa government money payments na yung buong akala ko sa train law, yung sale to government lang ng VAT, no? Pati pala yung mga non-VAT, no? Pati yung di VAT, nagiging creditable na pala lahat, no? Hindi lang yung VAT sales to government. Okay. So those are the transactions po na subject sa creditable withholding tax, no? Kaya huwag tayong ma-confuse, no? So that hindi po tayo ma-confuse whatever our transactions refer sa guide sa form natin, no? Nasa likod lang. As to the rates, nasa tax code talaga po yun yung rates ngayon kasi wala na dito sa form. Dati nasa form din yan. No? Okay. So shout out ulit.
Shoutout po kay Arvin Membrere
Okay.
and kay Ma'am Mary Jane Onal. Good evening daw po.
Okay.
Shoutout din po kay Sir Eugene Cruz.
Huli ka na ha. Kanina pa kami. Huwag magwa 1 hour na. Sige.
Shoutout din po kay John Paulo Santo. Good evening daw.
Okay.
Sila pa lang ma'am. Tas may mga tanong na po.
Oh, sige. Kasi tapos na tayo doon sa ano. So don't be confused between the creditable and the final withholding tax. Sa form pa lang kayo magkakatalo na. Pagka 2306 yung binigay sa inyo, so final tax yan. Pagka 2307, creditable yan. Eh, nagkamali, halimbawa, yung nagbigay sa inyo, instead na dapat 2307, 2306 ang binigay sa inyo, sino yung may mali? No? So, dapat proactive kayong pareho, dapat alam nyo, no? And, pwede ninyo ipakorekt sa nag-issue. No? Dapat alam din natin yung ating liabilities so that we play a proactive part doon sa ating tax compliance. Kasi tax compliance natin yan eh. Halimbawa, ang tama na ibigay sa iyo is 2307, creditable. E binigay sa inyo 2306. Tapos pinahil mo din naman sa BIR na alam mong mali. Or hindi mo alam na mali. So, sino yung mape-penalty later on? In case of mistake, no, or error sa interpretation ng tax or mali doon sa compliance, ang taxpayer po talaga ang pinipenalize. Hindi ka pwedeng magturo na, ay hindi ko alam, no? You will be penalized. O, kasi binigyan ako ni, ng 2306, o dapat hindi mo tinanggap dahil mali, no? So, alam mo na mali, ikaw kasi yung required to comply. So, pag mali yan, ipakorekt mo na kaagad. Kagaya din yan ng mga COR. O, nag-apply ka ng Certificate of Registration ng business mo. Mali yung binigay sa'yo. Tinanggap mo. So, ibig sabihin doon, tinanggap mo na tama yung binigay sa'yo. Kasi kung hindi, pinakorekt mo yun. O, so, ganon. We should be proactive. Ganyan din dito sa withholding tax. Pag mali yung form na binigay sa iyo, instead na creditable, binigyan ka niya ng final tax, which is mali, then ipakorekt mo. No? Kasi kaya nga dapat alam natin kung ano yung ating dapat i-comply. Okay. Sige, dito na tayo sa question and answer.
Ang first question, ma'am, galing kay training.
Okay.
Yung sales to government po ba, ma'am, yung BIR Form 2307 ba? Pwede bang nakaseparate yung creditable tax on services at yung creditable VAT? Isang BIR Form 2307 na lang?
Tingnan mo sa 2307 na form, Sa 2307 po na form, dapat nakaseparate siya, no? And hindi lang yun. May money payment subject to withholding tax ng business at saka income payment subject to expanded withholding tax na income, no? So, iba yung income payment, iba yung money payments ng business tax. So, yung income payments, kaya nga dalawa na yung withholding dito sa 2307. Isang para sa income, isang para sa VAT. So, halimbawa, isang kopya lang binigay sa inyo, so you have to reproduce additional copies. Why? Kasi, i-attach mo yung ibang kopya sa income tax and then ang ibang kopya naman sa value-added tax, no? So, ano dapat ang nakalagay dito? Yung sabi mo na magkahiwalay yung withholding sa services at saka ano yung isa? Sa VAT? Sabi niya, since magkaiba yung nature ng transactions na yan, dapat nakaseparate yan dito dahil magkaiba sila ng ATC or alphanumeric tax code kasi depende yan sa nature of services. So every nature of services or transactions na magkaiba, iba yung alphanumeric tax code. So iba yung nakalagay dapat dito. No? Hindi mo sila pagsamahin. Okay.
Tanong po galing kay Ma'am Jana.
Okay.
Sa sales on government, bakit po 6% agad withholding? Saan po yung magagamit?
6% ang withholding. Kasi 5% yung creditable withholding tax on VAT at saka 1% sa income. Kaya 6% po yan. No? Saan yan gagamitin? Sa income at saka sa VAT. No? So makikita mo dyan sa Form 2307, dalawa yan, may withholding tax on income at saka may withholding tax for money payments, which is the VAT. No? So dalawang klase po ng tax ang wini-withhold dyan sa 2307 ng sale to government.
Opo, ma'am. Next po, ma'am, regarding daw, ma'am, sa real property engaged in real estates industry.
Okay.
Opo, yung una niyang tanong, ma'am, under installment sales, 25% of total collection.
During the year, okay.
Opo. About po, ma'am, sa issuance ng resibo, if kailan mag-issue ng official receipts, every collection po ba para ma-declare sa VAT return?
Alam nyo, actually, may nagkaroon ako ng case niya na sa yung contract to sell, yung deferred payment plan, no? Payment ng equity, tapos ganun. Tapos ang binibigay collection receipt lang, no? So ang tanong, kailan ka mag-issue ng receipt, no? Ito. Pagka ang kontrata ninyo is qualified siya doon sa deferred payment plan, the deferred payment plan is installment, no? Ano yung installment? Yung 25% na down during the year, considered more than 25% na down during the year is 25% total payment during the year is considered cash. So, bayaran mo na lahat ng tax. Oh? Pagka mga 20% lang, below 25%, so qualified siya as installment payment. That is only for tax purposes, ha? Kasi yung actual na contract to sell ninyo will prevail. But what happened is, yung payment ng kliyente. Kasi halimbawa, may contract to sell kayo na 3 million or 5 million. And then, nagbayad yung kliyente ng 2 million during the year. Then, hindi na siya qualify doon sa installment sale. Deferred payment na siya, bayaran mo na outright. Pero bukod yun, doon sa contract to sell nyo na installment talaga, no? So, ang treatment sa tax, iba, no? Sa actual, iba din. So, ano yung masusunod nyo? May batas kasi ang tax. So, ang tax, ang susundin natin pagdating sa payment of taxes. Pero pagdating na sa actual collection, na installment, yung inyo ang masusunod. So, ano ang gagawin ninyo? Anong mag-i-issue ba kayo ng receipt or what? Once na qualified na kayo doon sa installment payment, then mag-i-issue na kayo ng receipt. Ang problema, ako I am a victim of that, no? Collection receipt lang ang ini-issue. Hindi nag-i-issue ng official receipt. according to the law, dapat official receipt. Why? Kasi yung na-receive mo na income na yan, subject to tax na yan, and you have to record that in your books of accounts. Pagka collection receipt lang, wala siyang corresponding na official receipt, hindi mo pa siya sinama doon sa ano mo, doon sa libro mo, so hindi mo sinama doon sa pagbabayad mo ng tax, which is mali. Hindi po yan pwede, no? So, ang tanong mo kung mag-i-issue ba dapat ng resibo o hindi, mag-i-issue po talaga. And ang dapat na issue na resibo is the official receipt, hindi po collection receipt. Kasi collection receipt is just temporary, nangolekta ka lang, may corresponding official receipt pa po yan na dapat i-issue ninyo. And yan ang i-record ninyo sa libro as your gross receipts. No? So, yun po talaga yung tama. Yung iba kasi na mga resibo, ina-allow lang yan ng BIR as secondary receipt. But the primary receipts are official receipts. Sige, next.
Karugtong ma'am nung tanong niya, what if po ma'am ganito, first year, greater than 25%. On the second year, nag-35%. Still considered installment sales.
So, you are referring to only one transaction, ha? So, kung first year, nagbayad siya ng 25%, bayad na lahat ng tax doon. So, regardless o kung magkano man yung ibabayad niya second year, third year, fourth year, wala ng tax na babayaran doon kasi hindi na siya qualified sa installment payment ng tax. So, bayaran mo na yung tax at once. No? So, regardless kung magkano man yung ibayad niya the following year, yung sa first year pa lang, bayad na po yung tax doon. Okay. Next.
Yung ma'am, yung tanong niya kung yung still considered installment sales pa rin daw po ba?
For tax purposes po, hindi na siya considered na installment sales kasi binayaran mo na lahat ng tax. Pero sa inyo, sa contract to sell nyo, installment siya, but ang tax noon, bayad na. Oh? Okay. Next.
Galing po kay Arvin Membrere.
Okay.
Pwede ko po ba i-claim ang 2307 kahit last year ang date ng form na binigay ng customer?
Yan na yung palagi natin concern, ha? Ang sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang tax, hindi yan kagaya na accounting na may prior period adjustment, i-recognize nyo siya during the year, and then i-credit or i-debit nyo siya sa written earnings. Walang residual account ang tax, no? So, yung 2307 mo last year should be claimed last year. So, kung ngayon mo yan natanggap, i-amend mo yung last year, no? Kasi kung i-claim mo yan during the year, mali na yung recording mo sa books mo. Kasi ang income na receive mo doon is wala na, iba na yan. O, magkaiba na yung total mo. So, ano yung dapat? I-claim mo siya talaga at the year na incurred, no? So, halimbawa, yung sabi mo na 2307 na siya na last year, i-claim mo talaga siya ng last year, no? Kung may overpayment ka man doon, i-carry over mo na lang for the current year. Next.
Yung BIR Form 1606 po ba, valid po siyang ibawas sa income tax due?
Yung
BIR Form 1606.
1606, 1606. Yun yung creditable. Yes po. Kasi creditable withholding tax yun yan ang sale ng real property. At hindi lang siya valid, required po siya talaga. Why? Kasi creditable yan eh. So since you make a sale during the year no 1606, pagdating sa income tax, dapat dinideclare mo yan doon sa income tax. Why? Kasi pag hindi mo yan kinlaim or dineclare sa income tax mo, maku-question ka later on. No? Kasi yung 1606 na yan is creditable, ha? Hindi yan final tax. No? Ang final tax sa real property is 1707. Na? So yung creditable na yan, 1606, isama mo yan, i-declare mo doon yung sale mo ng real property, i-declare mo rin yung mga deductions mo, and then compute mo yung tax due, i-deduct mo yung creditable na withholding tax. No? 1606.
Sabi nga ma'am, the company engaged in selling of real property or
Yes.
condo units.
Yes, kaya nga yung 1606 mo is creditable yan, no? Ang 1606 is withholding tax remittance return for onerous transfer of real property other than capital assets. So, including taxable and exempt. So, ang ibig sabihin niyan sa 1606, creditable siya. Creditable siya. And regularly, since yan ang business nyo, so, i-credit nyo siya doon sa income tax payment mo, i-deduct mo yung 1606. No?
Pwede po ba ma'am sa isang BIR form ang ibigay ni list na form sales to the government, andun na ang creditable na 5% creditable withholding tax at yung
1%.
2%.
2% pagka sale of services. Isang form lang po yan, 2307 na form. No? Tingnan mo sa form 2307, may portion doon para sa business tax and may portion doon para sa income tax. So for income tax, 1% for sale of goods, 2% for sale of services. Yan ang ilagay mong withholding dyan. And for the business tax naman na VAT, yun ang ilagay mo na portion dyan. 5% na withholding mo, creditable withholding mo on VAT. No? So, isang form lang po yan. 2307. Sa isang form na yan, that pertains to only one transaction, ha? Kasi sa one transaction na yan, ang i-withhold mo na transactions or sa isang transactions, ang i-withhold mo na tax dalawa. No? Isang income tax at isang value-added tax. Okay. Next.
Galing po kay Juan ng Masikap.
Okay.
Ma'am, I would like to ask if anong magiging treatment kapag si president owner of company nag-retired na po sa company. Siya rin po signatories sa mga documents. Consultant po ba and ano po si WT?
Professional na siya, no? Kung halimbawa, president siya ng company at the same time, employee din siya ng company kasi nagtatrabaho siya. And then, nag-retire na siya, anong magiging treatment mo sa kanya? Then, pwedeng consultant, pwede din as professional, no? Same lang din naman ang withholding. Kasi, magre-receive pa rin siya ng remuneration. Pero, of course, hindi na pwede na as salary kasi retired na siya, no? Kasi there are so many officers ng company na kahit na over 65 years old na sila, retired na officially, pero nandyan pa rin sa company nila at nagtatrabaho pa rin, no? So, yung kukunin nila na remuneration or payment is a professional fee na, no? Subject also to withholding tax na creditable. Okay? Tsaka magbibigay na rin sila ng resibo sa company kasi requirements yan, documentation requirements yan. Yan yung pinag-usapan natin kanina sa transfer pricing na documentation. Even if related parties kayo, ikaw yung may-ari ng company, but for purposes of taxation, you have to document your transactions. Kaya dapat, pag withhold ka rin sa sarili mo, magbibigay ka rin ng certificate. And as a recipient of a professional fee, dapat mag-issue ka rin ng resibo. No? That's the proper documentation ng business transactions. Hindi ibig sabihin na ikaw yung may-ari, exempted ka na sa documentation. No way. No? Iba yung business for tax purposes lalo na. So, kahit sarili mong business yan, but for tax purposes, you have to document your transactions. Okay. Next.
Galing po kay Ma'am Janae. Wala na po bang 2306 form?
2306, meron pa rin po, no? But yung 2306 is final tax na, no? Sa government, masabi mo na wala na kasi hindi na siya dapat gamitin kasi wala nang final tax sa government. Creditable na lang, so 2307. Pero yung form na tinatanong mo kung wala na, meron pa rin. But hindi na applicable sa government transactions. Okay. Next.
Next ma'am, galing kay Criselda Kiatchon.
Okay.
Ma'am, pag napakarami ng government form 2307, ina-attach po ba talaga lahat sa tax return or pwede na yung alpha list na lang?
Kung sobrang dami, ina-attach talaga yan, requirements yan, kasi creditable yan withholding. Pero ngayon, since ang alam ko dati, nag-allow na yung BIR na soft copy, no? Pag sobrang dami na, i-soft copy mo na siya. But you must be ready with the original copies pagdating na po ng tax audit, because during the tax audit, magkakaroon sila ng reference doon sa mga original na 2307. No? Next. Kasi allow naman ngayon yung submission ng mga attachments sa FS na soft copy, di ba? So, pwede nyo na siyang EFS, yung electronic submission. So, scan copy nyo na lang siya and submit.
Galing po kay Ma'am Cynthia.
Okay.
Kailan po ba dapat i-remit ang binawas na tax?
At the time na in-card, no? Pagdating sa withholding, kailan ba yan nire-remit? Yung withholding tax on compensation, halimbawa, withholding yan for the month of May, dapat i-remit mo yan ng June 10. No? Yun yung of the following month, yun po ang deadline. Pag hindi mo yan na-remit ng June 10, magkaroon na yan ng penalties, 25% surcharge, interest, at saka compromise. Sa expanded withholding naman, ang deadline niyan is 10th day also of the following month, no? So kung halimbawa nag-withhold ka for the month of May, i-remit mo rin yan ng June 10, no? Ganun din po yung final tax. 10th day of the following month ang deadline. Okay.
Next, ma'am, galing kay Ma'am Rodora Constantino.
Okay.
Ma'am, yung mga nabili na FFE,
Oh,
halimbawa, nasa 400,000.
furniture and fixtures. Oh,
Ah,
okay.
nasa 400,000 lahat. How to treat sales invoice? Pwede po ba i-claim na input ng 400,000?
Yes. Ang ano lang naman, ang hindi mo pwedeng i-claim outright na input, you have to amortize yung more than 1 million. Pero yung 400,000, pwede po i-outright claim nyo lahat, hindi na siya i-amortize. Okay. Next.
Galing po kay Ma'am LB. Yung 2307 ng taxpayer who opted the 8% annual rate.
Okay.
Sa year-end na po ba i-deduct yung lahat na
Hindi po.
2307 received?
Hindi po. Quarterly kasi ang 8%, diba? Quarterly siya. So, quarterly din po pwedeng i-deduct ninyo. Kasi, kung hindi mo i-deduct siya, sobra-sobra na pala, magbabayad ka pa on the quarter. Sobra-sobra na at the end of the year. So, kung na-incur mo siya during the quarter, quarterly po ang claim, no? Na ipa-file mo. Okay.
Next po, ma'am. Follow-up daw po, ma'am, ni Janai. If, paano po kung may naibigay po ngayon 2021 na 2306 sa sales on government?
2306, mali po yan. Dapat papalitan nyo, ha? Or, para hindi na kayo magbalik, lagyan mo yung 2306 as 2307. No? Kasi nagkamali lang yan. Kasi hindi naman mali yun, na yung mali, i-correct mo. No? Yung mali na gagawin mo sa form, kung yung mali, yung tama, ginawa mong mali. Pero yung mali, ginawa mong tama, hindi po yan bawal. No? So, anong gagawin mo? Yung 2306, lagyan mo na 2307. No? Or, para hindi ka magbago, ibalik mo talaga doon sa nag-issue, papalitan mo ng 2307. At saka, hindi lang yon. Para next time, hindi na sila magkamali. Kasi kinorekt na. No? Kasi kung tanggap ka na lang ng tanggap ng 2306, the following month, 2306 pa rin yung ibibigay sa iyo. Okay. Next.
Galing po kay training. Ma'am, question po ulit. Paano po kaya, ma'am, if na-cancel si buyer dun sa binili niya condo, pero na fully ni-remit na ang buong 12% output but return? Company engaged properly selling of condo.
So, magkaroon kayo ng adjustment. Fully paid. Basahin mo nga ulit yung situation niya.
Paano po kaya ma'am if na-cancel si buyer dun sa binili niyang condo pero na fully remit na ang buong 12% output but sa VAT return?
Oh, hindi na. Hindi na yan ma-refund. At saka may policy kayo dapat dyan. No? Because you're engaged, that is your business. May policy kayo dapat dyan na once na na-remit na yung tax, hindi na niya pwedeng i-refund yun. So, ano lang yung i-refund niya? Di ba ganun naman talaga na once nag-back out yung buyer, may deduction na hindi na 100% na nire-refund nyo sa kanya. Especially na yung VAT, na-remit nyo na. So, hindi na pwedeng i-refund sa kanya yun. No? Or sabihin nyo na magkiklaim kayo ng refund sa government, sobrang hirap. No? Okay. So meron kayong policy on that. No? Para sa akin, hindi na dapat i-refund sa kanya. Okay.
Parang kung po ma'am ng tanong ni training. Paano po kaya ang effect nun sa VAT return at sa income tax?
Ano yung question niya kanina?
Yung paano po kaya ma'am if na-cancel si buyer dun sa binili niya pong condo pero na fully remit na ang buong 12% output VAT?
Magkaroon ka ng adjustment pagdating na sa quarterly na VAT mo, no? Mag-adjust ka yung sales mo nung during the quarter na nag-cancel. 'Di ba sa ano naman may sales return, no? So i-adjust mo 'yun. I-adjust mo during the quarter. If not, i-adjust mo at the end of the year, yung sa annual income tax return mo. Pero sa VAT mo, pwede ka nang mag-adjust on the following month, no? Magkaroon ka na ng sales return. No? Kasi may nag-cancel. Tsaka may batas tayo dyan eh. May special law tayo doon sa treatment sa real estate na hindi natutuloy, di ba? Hindi na siya nare-refund ng 100%. Okay.
Galing po kay Ma'am Julie Alfonso.
Okay.
Tanong po kung okay lang hindi magamit sa pag-file ang 2306 at 2307.
Hindi nagamit. Hindi ka mag-reconcile with your income, magkaroon ka ng letter notice. Dapat, pag meron kang 2306 at saka 2307, it should be attached in your income tax return. Yung 2307, yung 2306, hindi na. Kasi ang 2306, since that is a final tax, wala ng obligation ang taxpayer to report it in the income tax return. Mahulog yung ano. Tax light. Ano mo?
Sabi niya, maliliit lang po
Excuse
ang
me.
amount. Maliliit lang naman daw yung amount.
Kahit na po, kahit maliliit ang amount, so hindi ka magtatali sa books mo. No? Kasi yung maliliit na yan, ano yan eh, may bearing din yan doon sa total mo. No? So, hindi ka magtatali ngayon pagka yung amount na yun, hindi mo isasama. No? At magka-question ka later on kasi kagaya ng VAT, meron tayong tinatawag na VAT relief, may reconciliation tayo. So, magkakaroon ng discrepancy yung total mo. No? So, ugaliin na natin na kahit maliit lang, sinasama natin. No? Okay, next.
Galing po kay Juan ng Masikap. Another question, ma'am. Si employee ay inassign po ng employer na mag-sign and seal ng project. Need pa
Okay.
po ba mag-issue ng resibo si employee since employed siya sa company at kaltasan ng creditable withholding tax?
Si employee, anong ginawa niya?
Si employee,
Kasi pagka employer-employer relationship, ang bayad mo sa kanya, withholding tax on compensation. So, kaltasan mo siya doon ng withholding tax on compensation and then remit it sa BIR.
po ba mag-issue ng
So, anong ginawa niya doon sa employee? Inasan niya sa project? Anong...
si employee po.
Inassign po ng employer na mag-sign and seal ng project.
so, parang professional.
Need pa po ba mag-issue ng resibo si employee since employed siya sa company
Yes, kasi
at kaltasan?
ibang ano na yun, ibang trabaho na kayo. Para din yan commission, no? Pero, sama nyo pa rin sa compensation niya and then you will time employee nyo siya eh, no? Withholding tax on compensation, no? So yun po yung tama na treatment. Kasi parang din yan na director, yung director na at the same time ng company, at the same time employee, anong ginagawa? Sinasama sa compensation niya yung director fees niya. Parang employee din yan na at the same time earning commission, anong ginagawa? Yung commission niya sinasama din sa compensation. So ganyan din yung empleyado na nagkakaroon ng extra na professional fee. So anong gagawin? Yung professional fee nyo, since kayo din yung employer, isama nyo doon sa compensation income niya and then withhold the withholding tax on compensation. Hindi na siya kailangan mag-issue ng resibo. Next.
Next, ma'am, in relation to sale of real property,
Oh.
if the installment sales is more than 25%, meaning qualified na siya as deferred sales or cash sales, and will
Kasi ang 25% na deferred payment, sales, bayaran mo na ng tax. Hindi na siya qualified. Kasi ang 25% na installment, deferred nayad ng down during the year, hindi na siya qualified dun sa installment payment tax. Remember, tax lang to na do not be confused of your contract. Yung contract nyo, installment talaga yan. But for purposes of paying the tax on that transaction, nagiging cash na siya during the year kasi more than 25% na yung kanyang 25% na yung kanyang down. And remember, for VAT purposes lang yan ha. Sa income, iba ang treatment. No? Ang may deferred payment sale lang kasi is VAT. Yung income, wala. Kaya yung income, kung kailan mo yun i-recognize as income, ibase mo yan doon sa contract to sell nyo kung kailan nare-receive yung income. But for VAT purposes, bayaran mo na lahat ng VAT. Okay.
sabi niya, ma'am, and will issue OR example for the 26% DP, down payment?
Yung OR na yan, every time na may payment, ang client, talagang nag-OOR kayo. Why? Kasi yung 25% na yan, during the year yan eh. So, hindi naman pwede na during the year, at the end of the year lang kayo mag-issue na resibo. No way. Every time you accept or you receive payment from your client, mag-issue kayo ng resibo. Kasi total lang yan na aabot yan ng 25% during the year, and then, bayaran mo na lahat, considered cash sales na siya for VAT purposes.
Sabi niya, ma'am, or the 100%, which is the contract price for income tax purposes.
Ay, hindi. For income tax purposes, installment sale pa rin siya. No? Kasi ang may deferred payment, VAT lang. No? So do not be confused. Magkaibang tax yan.
Galing naman po ma'am kay Ma'am
Next.
Janay.
Okay.
Yun po ba mga hindi namin nakuha na 2307 at 2306 sa mga nakaraang taon, pwede pa po ba namin hingiin sa withholding tax
Yes.
agent, example year 2018 up to present, nag-withhold pero di sila nagbigay ng 2307?
Pwede po. That is your right. Na? So what happened to the 2018 and 2019? Hindi nyo rin sinama sa income tax nyo. No? May danger kayo dyan or there is a risk na ma-letter notice kayo. No? So anong dapat na gawin? Dapat talaga Every year, proactive kayo. Every year na may kakontrata kayo or may sale kayo or may purchases kayo, talagang hingin nyo na yung 2307, no? Yung purchases, ang 2307. Kasi yung sale, kayo yung magbibigay ng 2307. Ay, no. Pag sale, kayo ang nagbenta, yung bumili sa inyo, yun ang magbibigay sa inyo ng 2307. No? Sa purchases naman, kayo ang may bibigay ng 2307 doon sa supplier nyo. Okay. Next.
Next, ma'am, galing kay Ma'am Rodora Constantino.
Okay.
Ma'am, may nagkwento sa akin na yung nabili nila na doc stamp ay need pagamitan ng 0605.
Pwede.
Like 2 pieces of doc stamp, 15 pesos each. Tapos, ngayon daw po ay need pa mag 0605. Di ba po sa BIR lang yun babayaran pagbili?
Yung 15 pesos, conventional na yan. Yung may pre-printed na yan na doc stamps na may amount na doon sa hindi na kailangan ng 0605. No? Ang conventional na doc stamps na 15 pesos, ang dami niya nagbebenta. Kahit sa mga PRC, sa mga NSO, may nagbebenta niya na 15 pesos. At saka sa BIR mismo, nagbebenta yan sila. Hindi na kailangan ng 0605, pupunta ka pa sa bangko. No way, no? Bakit mag-0605? No? Conventional lang yan, yung 15 pesos. Pre-printed siya na may denomination, no, na 15 pesos. Yung square na naka-strip, no? Yan po yung 15 pesos. Hindi na kailangan ng 0605. Next.
Galing po kay Miss J. Ma'am, yung certificate of no rent, pwede po ba yan as requirement pag nag-register ng business?
Yung certificate of no rent, meron kang meron kang proof or reason kung bakit hindi ka nagre-rent, no? Halimbawa, hindi naman ikaw yung may-ari ng building, that is a commercial building. Bakit hindi ka nagre-rent, no? So, may certification sa may-ari ng building na libre ka, no? So, ma-question ka dyan later on, no? Pero kung totoo naman talaga na hindi ka nagre-rent, then be it, no? Depende na lang yan sa evaluation ng district or ng RDO. Okay. Next.
Paano po ba mag-remit sa quarterly?
Ng withholding?
Yun lang yung tanong ko.
Oo. Ang may quarterly ngayon is the expanded, di ba? Yung 0619E na pagka nagbayad ka na 1601EQ, no? So, paano yung quarterly? Cumulative na po siya. Include mo na yung first 2 months, parang VAT na rin. Include the first 2 months na total, and then i-compute mo yung total withholding mo for the quarter, and then i-deduct mo ngayon yung payment made mo on the first 2 months, no? Parang VAT na talaga yung pag-compute mo, no? 3 months na siya, and then deduct yung previously paid na withholding or previously remitted na withholding. Next.
Galing po kay Julie Alfonso. As po kung saan part ng form sa 2550M, 2550 yung ipipill up yung mga expenses like salaries, electric bill, tel bill, at iba pa.
Sa 2550Q, so VAT. Ang salaries, wala po yan. Kasi ang salaries wala namang input, no? So, dati kasi, tingnan natin yung 2550Q, ha? Kasi nakalagay din sa form na pati yung hindi subject sa VAT, nakalagay dyan, no? Tingnan natin yung 2550Q na form. $2550Q is the quarterly VAT, no? So, ang tanong mo, ulitin mo yung tanong kung saan linalagay. Sige.
Saan part ng form sa 2550M and 2550Q? ipipill up yung mga expenses like salaries, electric bill, tel bill, telephone.
Dito sa line number 21, AB, purchase of capital goods not exceeding 1 million. Purchase of capital goods exceeding 1 million. Domestic purchases. Kasi purchases yung mga sinasabi niya, di ba? Expenses. Of goods other than capital goods. Importation of goods. Domestic purchase of services. Services rendered by non-resident. Purchases not qualified for input tax. Yan. Diyan sa line number 21M sa 2550Q, diyan mo ilalagay yung mga salaries kasi purchases yan na hindi qualified for input tax. Kasi ang salaries wala yang input, no? So dito nyo po ilagay sa 2550Q line number 21M, no? Sa 2550M naman, saan mo siya ilalagay? Dito sa line number 18 naman. Line number 18M, purchases not qualified for input tax. So, dyan nyo po ilalagay yung mga expenses nyo na walang input, like salaries and wages. Okay.
Ma'am, about po sa withholding tax, allowed bang si taxpayer na lang ang magbayad ng withholding tax para maklaim lang yung expenses at input VAT? Company already recognized as stamp.
Maraming gumagawa niyan kasi yung lessor o kaya yung supplier ayaw magpa-withhold. So, since stamp yung taxpayer, ma-penalize siya pag hindi siya nag-withhold. So, anong ginagawa niya? Binabayaran niya yung withholding just to claim for the expenses. No? So, anong mangyayari dyan sa books of accounts mo? Add-on expense mo yung payment ng withholding. No? So, halimbawa, yung expenses mo for the rental is 100,000. Eh, nag-withhold ka, nagbayad ka pa ng 5% ng 5,000. So, instead of 100,000 yung expenses mo for the rental, ang expenses mo na totoo is 105,000. No? Record mo yan doon sa books of accounts mo. Okay, next.
Galing po kay Juan Masikap. Ma'am, another question po ulit. Ano po yung gagawin kapag si client ay calendar year then si supplier ay fiscal year ended August 31? Yung 2307 po kasi na inissued po ay quarterly ng calendar year. Hindi po.
Wala namang bearing. No? Wala naman yung bearing. Kasi kung sino yung recipient, and then nakalagay naman yung date doon sa 2307, on that particular date, doon mo siya i-claim. Kanino masusunod na calendar year? Yung calendar year ng recipient ng 2307. No? Kasi yung nag-issue, expense lang naman niya yun eh. Sino yung mag-claim doon as credit? Yung may-ari talaga ng 2307, no? Hindi yung nag-withhold. So wala pong bearing whether calendar year or fiscal year yung nag-withhold kasi ang susundin mo doon yung date mismo ng form na 2307, no? Kung anong month yan. Doon mo siya i-claim. So walang bearing kung fiscal year or calendar year.
Karaktong po ma'am, hindi po bangga sa attachment pagdating sa BIR Form 1702 Annual ITR.
Bakit hindi siya bangga? Bakit hindi siya bangga? Month naman ang pinag-usapan doon sa 2307, hindi naman year. No? Bangga pa rin siya. Kasi halimbawa, yung withholding mo is for the month of January. No? So, i-include mo yan doon sa taxable year mo na starting January to December. No? So, wala siyang bearing doon sa fiscal year nung kung sino man yung nagbigay sa iyo. Okay.
Ma'am, kapag si taxpayer ay magko-corporation na pero nasa BIR na po lahat ng papel nila, for registration, till now po is on process pa. Kapag may babayaran ba sila, hindi na nila mag-deduct ng expanded withholding tax or hindi pa?
Kailangan na kasi expenses nyo na yun eh. At saka, mabilis lang ngayon ang registration ha, so hindi siya dapat na ganun katagal. O, di ba may online registration na nga, Hari? Hari, ba? May online registration na, di ba? Inano mo na yung online registration portal sa video natin.
Yung VisReg.
Oo.
Meron na po.
Kaya wala silang dahilan na tatagal pa yung registration. May online registration na po tayo. So, submit mo na lahat, pati attachment, pati questionnaires, doon sa online registration business portal. And then, saka ka pupunta sa district. Tapos na yung ano mo doon. No? Kukunin mo na lang yung COR. No? Within 3 days lang yan. Okay.
Next, ma'am, ask ko lang po regarding sa VAT payable. Example po, pag 3 months na puro tax credit, pwede pa rin po ba yung gamitin sa next month?
Di ba dahil sa COVID, napakarami nating mga losses, no? So, ang sabi, yung NOLCO natin is 5 years na pwedeng i-claim. But for VAT purposes, wala namang sinasabi na may expiry yung input na pwede natin i-carry over. Pwede pa rin. No? Ang refund lang, yung claim for refund lang is within 2 years. Pero yung mga carry over ng input, wala pong sinasabi na may limit. Okay.
Galing po kay Miu. Paano po kaya may nagsabi na pag senior hindi na kailangan mag-tax? Kaya hindi na po nag-register sa BIR last 2020. Pa po, yung mayor's permit. Ay close po sana kaso requirement yung mga tax return.
Nako. Wala sa senior na hindi ka na magbayad ng tax. The senior citizen is not exempt from payment of taxes, no? Once na ang senior citizen is still earning income from real property, may mga passive income yan, professional fee, subject pa rin po sa income tax. Wala po sinasabi na exempt ang senior citizen sa income tax, no? Babayad pa rin ng tax po ang senior citizen. Okay.
Next, ma'am, ano po ang ATC ng goods at services? 2306 at 2307.
Goods and services sa 2306 at 2307. Tingnan natin. Two, 306 and 2307. 2307 sa goods. Ko puro ano lang to eh. Mga professions, mga sale, professional, lawyer. No? Doon sa services, ilagay mo na kung anong klaseng services siya. Hindi siya nakalam na services lang. So ilagay mo siya dito, anong klaseng services ba siya? Professional, lawyer, naka-classify na siya kung anong klaseng services. So, mamili ka dyan kung anong ATC. No? Pagdating naman sa sale of goods, hanapin natin, nasaan dito yung ATC. Income payment naman to eh. Ito nakalagay, halimbawa, payment daw siya to General Professional Partnership. Income payment made by credit card companies. Additional income payment to government personnel. Napin nyo, saan dyan yung, sa 2307 yung payment to of goods. No? Ang sinasabi dito, income payment eh. So dito, income payment made by withholding agent. So, dyan ninyo hanapin. No? Commission. Gross payment. Yun. Kasi dito sa ATC, naka-classify na dyan, hindi lang goods, anong klase na goods, no? So, hanapin ninyo dyan. At saka sa services naman, hindi nakalagay dyan kung Services lang. Nakalagay dyan yung classification ng klaseng services. Diyan kayo maghanap ng ATC. No? Ganon din sa 2306 and 2307. Sige, next.
Ma'am, paano po yung mga purchases na papel lang ang resibo? Saan ilalagay doon? Doon din po ba sa purchases not qualified for income tax?
Sa
Input tax?
for input tax. Yes, dapat doon, no? Kaso lang ang problema mo doon, ma-disallow lang din 'yan. Even sa VAT or to income tax, ma-disallow talaga 'yan. So ang dapat mong gawin, hindi mo na siya isama doon sa purchases mo, but deductions mo na 'yan doon sa income mo, no? Or sa retained earnings mo. Kasi hindi for tax purposes ang pinag-usapan kasi natin dito tax, no? Since wala yang supporting documents, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-claim, no? So for the computation of your tax liability, hindi mo siya pwedeng isama. Okay. Next.
Kailangan pa po ba ay late register sa BIR? Ano po dapat gawin?
Ano yung
Ano po yung...
Kailangan pa daw po ba ma'am i-late register sa BIR?
ang ano?
Ano po dapat gawin? Follow up po yung kayo na dun sa ano ma'am, yung sa senior na hindi na kailangan
Ay, kailangan pa din po mag-register. Yes, kasi ako senior na ako pero nagpa-register pa rin sa BIR, no? So kailangan pa rin po mag-register and then bakit? Because you have to comply with the bookkeeping requirements and also the issuance of receipts, no? Kasi may income ka pa eh. So the moment you receive your income, halimbawa services yan, you have to issue receipts. Eh kung hindi ka registered sa BIR, wala kang issue na resibo. No? So you have to comply also with the registration requirements. Next.
If a taxpayer is not listed in the BIR list as stamp taxpayer, but as a per RR7 2019 na breach nila yung threshold at dun sa definition ng TWA.
Oh. Anong question?
Are they
Because
mandated?
are they mandated to withhold?
Hindi. Why? Kasi kung hindi ka padala ng sulat ng BAR that you belong to the top withholding agent, hindi ka magwi-withhold, no? Kasi yung authority mo to withhold is your letter coming from the BAR that you belong to the top withholding agent. So even if you reach the threshold of a top withholding agent pero hindi ka pinadalhan ng sulat ng BAR as top withholding agent, then you are not classified as top withholding agent. You need not withhold sa purchases mo. Pero doon sa operating expenses mo, of course, you have to withhold.
Question po ma'am about dun sa company na lang ang magbayad ng withholding tax. Possible po ba ma-question if ever idadagdag sa expense yung markup?
Possible ma-question, but you have a valid reason why you do it, no? And that is compliant requirements ng BAR, no? Possible siya ma-question, but you have a valid reason why you did it.
Sabi niya ma'am, let's say actual expense 100,
Yes.
tas withholding tax 5 equals to 105.
Yes. Possible po talaga siya na ma-question, but you have a valid reason, no? And that valid reason is you shoulder the payment of withholding tax.
Ma'am, paano po if ang rent owner ay hindi nag-issue ng receipt for the rent payment po? Okay lang po ba na magpapile ako ng 1601 EQ withholding tax expanded kahit wala akong mapapakitang proof
Resibo.
of payment?
Okay lang po. Why? Kasi yung non-issuance of receipts doon sa rental mo is not a valid reason na hindi ka namang withhold. So, since there is a refusal to issue receipts, i-note mo na lang doon sa book mo the refusal to issue receipt, but you proceed with the remittance of withholding tax. No? So, nag-withhold ka because that is your valid claim for expenses. So, anong mangyayari dyan? During the audit, yung BAR na yung magpe-penalize or mag-question doon sa lessor na hindi nag-i-issue ng resibo.
Next, ma'am. Ma'am, paano po ako mag-period ng 2307 EWT? March po na-receive ko yung billing pero April ko na po siya nabayaran. March
April.
po ba o April?
April ka, no? So, ano ba yan? Yung kaso lang, ang problema mo dyan, binayaran mo siya, baka late na. So, may penalty ka na. Baka nag-accrue na yung payment mo, na-delay ka ng payment. So, na-delay na rin yung payment mo ng withholding, no? If it pertains to the particular month, then pwedeng late na yung remittance mo ng withholding, no? So, be very careful, especially kung may mga contract kayo or consummated na yung transactions pero na-delay yung payment mo. So, delay na rin yung remittance mo of taxes. No? Kasi may mga source documents yan eh. Okay.
Galing po ako kay Ma'am Mary Jane Onal.
Okay.
Regarding po sa SLSP, taxpayer's client is from abroad, so wala siyang output but may mga expenses yan here in the Philippines
Okay.
na may input. Paano ang SLSP niya? Salamat.
Yung income niya, which is subject to VAT, yung summary list of sales and purchases niya, claim niya yung mga purchases niya with VAT dito sa Pilipinas. That is a valid claim of input naman, no? Pero yung sales niya, yung sabi niyo na galing sa abroad or whatever, hindi natin ma-picture out kung ano talaga yung transactions niya, no? But for VAT purposes, since ang VAT naman is a VAT on consumption, once the goods are consumed here in the Philippines, dapat bayaran mo talaga ang VAT dito, no? And sa law natin on value-added tax, yung purchases mo coming from VAT-registered persons, you can claim it as an input tax, no? Sige. Next.
Next, ma'am, follow-up daw po ma'am dun sa the taxpayer has not received letter from the BIR informing na kailangan nila mag-withhold. Yung tanong niya kanina, ma'am, is yung
Magwi-withhold ba siya?
yung taxpayer not listed in the BIR list as stamp taxpayer, but as per RR7, na-breach nila yung threshold.
Pero wala silang letter.
Opo. Ang tanong niya ngayon, ma'am, yung taxpayers not received, ay, yung ano,
Hindi siya naka-receive ng letter, so hindi siya dapat
letter
mag-withhold.
from the BIR
No?
informing na kailangan nila mag-withhold.
No? Yung hindi mo i-withhold, yung sa purchases lang. Pero yung sabi ko sa inyo na whether naka-receive ka ng letter or not, yung mga expenses mo na operating expenses, mandatory talaga yan mag-withhold ka. Yung top withholding agent or yung TAMP, nagwi-withhold yan ng additional sa purchases. At ano yung purchases? Ito yung mga direct cost. Pero pagdating na doon sa operating expenses mo, mag-withhold ka talaga, no? Pero kung hindi ka pa TAMP, hindi ka pa top withholding agent, yung purchases mo, hindi ka pa kailangan mag-withhold, no?
Galing po kay Ma'am Kirodora Constantine.
Okay.
Kahit po di pa sila kasama sa top withholding agent, need na mag-issue ng 2307.
Kung nag-withhold sila, no? Especially kung yung withhold nila is the operating expenses nila. Halimbawa, yung sa security, sa rental, mandatory yan eh. Utilities, whether you are top or top withholding agent ka, kailangan withhold mo talaga to, no? Yung mga utilities mo, yung mga services mo, repairs, lahat yan. Mag-issue ka ng 2307 because you are designated as withholding agent, no? So may 2307 yan, you have to issue. Ang ginagawa nga dyan ng iba, sabay na. Halimbawa, magbabayad sila sa supplier. Yung dapat nilang bayaran is 100,000. Nag-withhold sila ng 10% ng 10,000. So anong gagawin nila? Issue sila ng check-in na 90,000 and 2307 na 10,000 to make a total payment of 100,000. No? Sabay na. Para hindi na yung away pa na tawag ng tawag yung supplier mo na, asa na yung 2307 ko? No? So, make it a system. Ano yung system? Upon payment, issue check and at the same time, 2307. Kasi, whether you remit the tax or not, you have to withhold that. You have to give the certificate na 2307 kasi withhold mo na yan eh. So, mape-penalty ka pag hindi ka nagbigay ng 2307 at mape-penalty ka pa rin pag hindi mo yan i-remit. So, violations mo yan as withholding agent. Okay. Kaya ang sabi ng iba, ma'am, hindi ko pa na-remit. Mag-issue na ba ako ng 2307? Whether na-remit mo yan o hindi, you have to issue 2307. Kasi that is your obligation. Okay.
Next po, ma'am. Nagre-rent po sa bahay pero di po siya commercial. Maglalagay ng sari-sari store. Kung okay lang po na di na mag-declare na nagre-rent, kaya kung okay lang mag-submit ng certificate of no rent.
Hindi ko yun sasabihin na okay kasi hindi naman yan dapat, no? So, ano yung transaction? Yan ang i-declare nyo kasi hindi lang yan isang araw na transaction, ha? Tuloy-tuloy yan. It will take years. Kaya may hirapan din kayo. Puro na lang kayo, certificate of no rent, which is not totoo. No? Kayo rin, mamalasin yung negosyo nyo. Sige. Next.
Galing po kay Miu. Buong year 2020, yung bookkeeper, 0 ang 2550M, 2550U, 702Q, tapos pagdating po ng 1702, nag-declare ng gross sales. Ano dapat gawin?
Problema nyo po yan. Bakit? Di ba yung sabi nga natin, you have to reconcile your returns, your tax returns with your other tax returns. Lalo na yung VAT nyo at saka yung income nyo, dapat magka-partner yan. No? So, nag-declare ka sa income tax, hindi ka nag-declare sa VAT. Ano yun? Exempt? Not vatable yung transactions mo. Kasi pag vatable, ang gagawin mo, you have to amend your value-added tax returns. No? Diba, naka-file ka na, wala siyang transactions. Pero later on, meron pala at saka nandyan sa income mo, sa 1702Q mo, nireport mo. So, anong gawin mo? Balikan mo yung VAT mo, 2550Q, saka 2550M, i-amend mo yon at mag-declare ka na, itali mo doon sa income tax mo. That's the right thing to do. No? Huwag mong hintayin na ang BIR pa ang mag-reconcile kasi malaki na yung penalties. Okay. Next.
Follow up daw. Security agency pa naman, 8 million gross sales at naka 2307 lahat ng client. Tapos 0 po mga nakapile na returns. Example. Example. 0619 January 0, February 0, first quarter 1601 EQ 0, April 0, May 0, second quarter 1601 EQ. Pwede po ba itotal na lang lahat ng January to June rental at bayaran one time 6 months?
Oh, hindi po. Late na talaga yun. You do it monthly and then may iba-ibang penalty yan monthly. Bakit? Pagdating na ng examiner, anuhin din kayo, i-compute din niya yung monthly ninyo na penalty. No? So, ako hindi ko sasabihin sa inyo na i-lump nyo ng June. Posible, pwede nyo gawin yan. Pero pagdating na ng audit, kukumputin pa rin ng examiner sa inyo yung monthly. So, might as well, i-comply nyo na. No? Next.
Ma'am, pwede po ba magpa-register sa BIR kahit walang business permit? Mag-branch po sana ako, main branch RDO 38. Yung gagawing branch RDO 28. Ang hirap po kumuha ng business permit.
Sa BIR, hindi po nila tatanggapin. Why? Kasi your business is illegal pag wala kang business permit. Yan po yung effect ng wala kang business permit. Your business is illegal. No? Kaya anong ginagawa ng BIR, hindi ka tatanggapin pag wala kang permit. Pag may nangyari dyan sa business mo, masisisi pa yung local government. No? So, illegal po yung business natin na walang business permit. Next.
Galing po kay Rodora Constantino. Ma'am, yung mga non-VAT na sales invoice, di ba walang input? Pwede po ba yun as expenses?
Yes, sa income.
Na lang magagamit as operation expense para sa ITR?
Yes po, pwede. Pwede, pero for VAT purposes, kasi walang input, hindi nyo pwedeng i-claim ng input. Pero, pagdating na po sa income tax, pwede po siyang i-claim as an expense. No? Operating expenses.
Opo. Next question, ma'am, galing kay Juan ng Masikap.
Okay.
Opo. May penalty na po ba if ngayong taon lang po mag-register ang retired consultant? Last October 2020 pa po siya retired. Pero may issue 2307 na na-issue last October 2020 pa.
I-late filing na lang po niya. O kaya i-amend niya yung kanyang income tax return kasi di ba due na nung April 15. So anong gagawin mo? Since 2020 yan, filed na noong April 15, i-amend natin yung return for 2020 and then we include the 2307. No? Huwag natin pabayaan kasi mamaya retired na and then ma-letter notice pa. Next.
Follow up, ma'am, ni Miyu. Wala na po na compromise kasi na-file naman sa online zero.
So ano na, may filing. So ang ano nyo, late payment na lang, no? Late payment, so wala na late filing. Pwede din po.
Wala na po tanong, ma'am.
Okay, so tama-tama, no? 10 o'clock. Naka 2 hours ba tayo? Hindi.
15 minutes. 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Okay. So, pero dati nagwa 1 hour na lang tayo dito, no? Pero thank you very much. At saka doon sa mga viewers natin, doon sa mga nagpa-participate po dito sa ating live streaming, thank you very much. And hopefully, may learnings po tayo at kahit papano nakapagbigay tayo ng advice, no? I would like to say thank you sa mga subscribers natin. Ilan na yung subscribers natin dito sa tax training? 20,600.
654.
Okay, so 20,654 po yung ating subscribers dito sa tax training. So thank you very much and let's call it a night.